Right guys, we're moving on to another topic, and this topic's all about electricity, static and tools. We're looking at just now is a typical tool set for someone who's into building computers or changing components. There's not really much to it, to be honest. If you know how to use a screwdriver, i.e. you can put a screwdriver in the back of something, remove a screw, put a screw back in, it's very possible to build your own PC. This one here is almost custom for a computer user. We've got various types of screwdrivers down here. You can see a little flat headed end screwdriver, a little star end screwdriver. This is a pickup tool for picking up components or screws that you've dropped into the case. Over here is a nice little tube for storing the screws, and over here other screwdrivers which aren't really necessary for our actual uses. What we'll do is we'll switch over to the website. Around Google we'll do some searches here. We'll start off with some words like star screwdriver. And when you do that, you can see there's lots and lots of options here. I like to go to the images at this point to see what we can see. And that's all they are, screwdrivers with a little star head on them. There you go. And this is the actual website explaining how to use a screwdriver. There's a possibility you've maybe never used one before, but most people have. Over here I'll change this to, let's pick, thumb screws. There we go. Now thumb screws are interesting. There's lots and lots of images here. If you look at them, there's a piece that screws in, but this end here, it doesn't have a connection for put a screwdriver onto because you're supposed to use your own fingers. That's why they're called thumb screws. We'll change this to thumb screws on computers, and then we'll have an example of someone there actually using one. I'll just click on that, we'll make it a little bit bigger. And that's the side panel of a computer case. In this case is using thumb screws to put this piece back on. They're very handy if you don't have access to a screwdriver. It's basically to make it easier to use. As well as looking at this, we'll move on to something else called ESD, which kind of ties in with what we're doing. And ESD is electrostatic discharge. Now human beings, believe it or not, have lots of static electricity that build up within them. Computers also build up electricity too, and it's a very bad idea for two different objects, person and computer, to touch, right, while they have a charge of electricity on them. So you have to come up with some sort of way to remove this static electricity, and we have a few ways in computing. We'll look at this first idea called a wrist strap, ESD wrist. I'll put in strap as well, so it makes it a better search. And then go to images for a start. And here's lots and lots of examples of straps. This first one here, if you look, this piece here attaches to your wrist, right, to your actual skin. Don't put it over your shirt, put it on your skin, because it's you're the person who's built up static. There's a wire that goes all the way along to the end, and this end, a little crocodile clip there, and that crocodile clip could be plugged onto the computer case on the edge of it to hopefully join your static with the computer static in a nice friendly way. That's one way of doing it. It's not the best way of doing it, I prefer other ways. You can use another thing called a mat. Let's look at mats. So ESD mats, here's lots of different examples of them. We'll just scroll down, see a few of them. There we go, there's quite a few. I'm trying to find one that I like the look of. Yeah, I like these sort of mats here. This mat here has a little connection, cable's plugged in, basically connects up to the person on their wrist. And if we scroll around again, we'll see what else we can see. See if we come up with a better one than that. There's a great example there, so let's look at this one just now. And I'll zoom in this image a little bit. There you go. As you can see, they've got the wrist strap on attached to their skin. The cable here comes over to this edge of the mat itself. It's plugged into the mat. You'll also find that the mat itself is also plugged into the electrical socket. That way you're grounding the mat, therefore grounding yourself and removing the static from your body away from you and away from the computer system, so you can actually use that computer without taking any chances with ESD.